Welcome to the Mashup.
Tell me whether I'm wrong or right. East or west, up or down, side to side. I sit to stand and fall to fly. Of all of my impulsive plans, pop and lock and salsa dances on demand. I follow leading off the map, stop the chatter, scream happily.
Welcome to the Mashup.
Welcome to the mashup. Welcome to the
Welcome to the mashup.
Welcome to the Mashup.
All right, we're going to have to kick Sean out, but we'll get to that later. So 2,000 years ago, a bunch of guys in the Middle East, they had this great idea. They said that if we take these beans and we boil them, we can drink the soup we make, and it'll make us jittery. And that probably wasn't a good idea, because the last thing people in the Middle East really need is another reason to be on edge. But anyway, they went ahead with it. It kind of took off, ended up being this big thing. And
Welcome.
Sean, why are you stop hitting buttons? Woo! This is just, yeah. So Sean is apparently a little bit happy right now because of, I don't know.
Who cares about Two's rant? I'm here,
I
baby.
do. This is a good
Mashup
one.
160. You can finish your story if you want, but I'm going to be insufferable today. It's going to be great. I was talking to Jamie and Hank yesterday. This is just a great Friday.
That's why Jamie texted me and he's like, "Hey,
Great
bro, look forward
Friday,
to seeing the
folks.
show."
Happy Friday. Mashup 160. Let's go. Huh? How are we doing today, Twos? Rant aside, get it aside. No one cares.
No. It's what? Am I going to start from the start again? I had this all carefully crafted. It's going to talk about Swiss bankers and Nazi gold and how it all circles back to neck tattoos and trailer parks. But no, we're not going to do that today.
No, we're not.
We're just going to listen to a douchey guy wearing the colors of the NDP.
I tell you what, boys, the colors of the NDP have never looked so good right here. How we doing? How we doing today, everyone? How we doing, everyone? Yeah, back-to-back finals appearances. Let's go. Come on, Twos. Let's go.
Oh,
Come on. Come on. How's everybody doing Friday?
This is probably why you got locked out of your own studio.
Probably.
Yep.
It's been an interesting morning. It's been a fun couple of 24 hours. Ooh, do. Hey, Twos.
Yep. It's but we got lots of important stuff to talk about. You were just saying how big of a rush you are and how we need to get through everything quickly today. So maybe just, park that for a little while.
To all the Oilers fans out there, we were talking about this last night.
Yes, to both of them. I hope both of you are listening.
Oh, both, hey? All right, sure. It was cool to watch the Edmonton Oilers win and not be this giant celebration. Like, there's business to attend to, and it looks like Connor McDavid and the group have that mentality going in against a very, very dangerous Florida Panthers team, and it'll be fun to watch. A rematch, first, fourth or fifth time it's happened in NHL history. Same two teams. Last time, Detroit, Pittsburgh. So this should be a ton of fun. They touched the trophy last night. If you weren't, let's go Panther. Come on, Tim. Oh,
I like
right.
Tim. I like the cut of his jib.
Yeah, I bet you do. I'm surprised you didn't show up with a
show.
Florida Panthers jersey or flag or something.
I think I'm going to have to buy one.
I mean, the Calgary Flames flag waving. I mean, maybe out on a golf course somewhere right now. I don't know. Maybe they're on a beach somewhere.
I'm pretty sure as far as the Edmonton Oilers flag waving goes, it's basically just that parade that you guys have coming up this summer.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can throw any slate you want. I could sit here. Oh, it's just Brothers Roundtable next week, folks.
Is that the same jersey that Mark Carney wore?
Fantastic. Yeah, you know what?
Is that the Mark Carney jersey?
I'm going to take it all right now because the Oilers back in the Stanley Cup
that's
Finals.
What they usually say.
Back-to-back years. Hey, Twos ain't getting me today. He ain't getting me. I'm getting Twos all day long, messing everything up for him. All right. That aside, Mashup 160. Make sure that we share. Lock yourself out of the studio. I did lock myself out of the studio this morning. Made my life a little interesting, but make sure you like, share. We appreciate all of you fine folks watching on X, across all the platforms, YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook this morning,
Mhm.
that you share with a friend. Obviously, we rely heavily on you, fine folks, to get us out past all the things that don't want the actual news to be talked about or made fun of, for that
Well,
matter.
I mean, look at that survey you did after the Cornerstone Forum, and how did you find out about this? And the number one answer was from the podcast, but the number two answer by far was word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
Word
Yeah,
of mouth
there was
means everything, guys, and we appreciate it. And Sean's gone. Oh, this worked out perfectly. All right. So anyway, we're going to start off with the Coot 6.5. Oh, this is perfect. I don't know what he did, but whatever it was right. It was correct. And I hope he does it more often. Okay. So Coot 6.5. You're going to love this headline. Saeed Osman, one of Canada's most wanted, charged with first-degree murder in Edmonton again. Do you know what you have to do to be charged with first-degree murder in Edmonton again? You have to have previously committed first-degree murder in Edmonton. This is an actual headline in this fucking country, in the current state of things as they are. The only way that this could be any more classically Canadian of a headline is if it was written in maple syrup by a guy from Nova Scotia on Pogie. Sean's back, and now I'm sad.
You know what? I guess the world doesn't want me celebrating today. Good morning, Heather. Yes, this story, too, is just quickly, you've already rattled it off. I'm like, so this guy is wanted in 2 different murders,
Mhm.
and is at large. I had to read this like 3 different times, and I had to search out different articles because I was like, so is this an old story? Nope, it's current. So that's fun. That's fun.
Yep.
Not really. Yeah.
Yep. So this guy is just out at large. And meanwhile, the guys in Coots, 6.5 years.
That's right.
This is our justice system.
I don't know if Twos said it, but happy Airborne Friday. Thank you for tossing up there, Twos. To Jim and all the boys.
This is my last
all
bow.
the military men watching, tuning in, sharing this away. Thanks for service, and happy Airborne Friday to you, boys.
Up the Johns.
Now, let's shall we get to housing? Let's start with housing, shall we?
Oh, well, just real quick. If you got any community notes, let us know at the end. And now, let's get out some housing.
7th, Canadian real estate market safe as houses. 7th consecutive month of record all-time lows for new home sales in the GTA eclipses 1990s downturn. New home sales in the GTA for the 7th consecutive month of record all-time lows, according to a new report. The report from the Building Industry and Land Development Association said that there were 310 new home sales in April in the region, which is down 72% from April 2024 and 89% less than the 10-year average.
89% less than the 10-year average, including the years where everybody was locked down and not allowed to leave their houses to look at new houses. And then we've got this absolutely tragic story from the Globe and Mail. Hoping to cash out, a wave of retiring cottage owners facing a buyer's market. And this absolutely, my heart goes out to this woman. Susan Van Norman. Her parents built this cottage in 1973. She inherited it from them, and now she's 71, and she wants to sell it, and she was hoping to get $850,000 for this cabin that her parents built that she inherited. And because of the current state of the real estate market, Sean, this poor woman is looking down the barrel of possibly only getting $750,000. She describes it as daunting. What's going to happen to this woman if she can only sell this property she inherited for $750,000 instead of $850,000, Sean? What do we think is going to happen to all these poor people who just, they got given free stuff and it's only worth $750,000? She was counting on that extra $100,000 that she inherited. It's sad. It's tragic.
I wanted to here. I'm gonna toss that out. I wanted to bring this up too, just so
Mhm.
people could see. Well, just see where it's at. Right. This is a graph showcasing the current month sales, and then it goes down in the bottom in the red. It's year by year, so you can see that. Yeah,
105 sales
105.
in 2025. Meanwhile, in like 2021, it goes up so high there isn't even a number there. Right. So yes, everything is down significantly. There was also a news article in Vancouver where apparently people are having trouble finding realtors because the realtors have to put a lot of time, effort, and money into listing things at unrealistic prices that won't sell. And so realtors are saying, we'll help you buy a house, but we're not really interested in helping you sell a house right now.
Yeah, that was a strange. I don't know. They're like, we do all this work and then we don't get paid for it. It's like, well, that's part of your job. That is literally part of the housing market, right? Like,
Yep. So
anyway.
anyway, yeah, housing is all over the map right now. So there's that.
This just one. Just before we get to media, this was one other quote I'd taken. John O'Rourke, owner of Royal LePage Lakes of Muskogee Realty, said that while listings in the region have reached a 10-year high, sales are down 50% from the same time last year. So it is. I mean, it's just showcasing once again what we already know. So,
Yep.
yeah. You don't hate media enough. Okay, National Post. Almost 70% of Canadians want child vaccines to be mandatory. A survey says a new poll suggests nearly 70% of Canadians support mandatory childhood vaccinations. A poll of almost 1,700 Canadians found 69% of respondents of immunization should be required for kids to attend daycare and school. Yeah, it's all about measles, right?
Mhm.
There's
They're
just
just trying to. What happened to just the measles parties? This used to just be a normal thing, and then everybody just got scared of it, and they stayed scared of it. And shit like this isn't really helping.
Well, once again, a Canadian Journal of Public Health article published in October 2024 found approximately 76% of 7-year-olds were vaccinated. You know, this goes, anyways.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's
Well,
not
I
like
mean, interesting. Did you read the last paragraph of that 70% of Canadians want child vaccines to be mandatory article? Here. So for everybody listening along, Canadian press health coverage receives support through a partnership with the Canadian Medical Association. So the end of this article is, by the way, these people pay us.
right.
That should be the headline. The subheadline should be what the headline is. The headline is somebody paid us to put this fucking article here.
Globe and Mail. Canadian doctors continue to recommend COVID-19 vaccinations for pregnant people, countering U.S. policy change. Canadian doctors are emphasizing the routine COVID-19 vaccination are not only safe and effective, folks, but recommend for pregnant people, countering the approach taken by American officials. Of course, this is coming as U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced Tuesday that routine COVID vaccinations were no longer recommended for healthy pregnant women and children.
Yes. So, I mean, maybe they're right. Maybe, devil's advocate, maybe the current state of COVID vaccines, they're safe for pregnant women. Now, on the other hand, we had the worst bit of science you could possibly imagine in the Pfizer study that basically said that out of all of the pregnant women who got vaccinated in the study, only one of them didn't have a premature stillborn. So maybe just address something that changed. Like if something's different now, that would be an important thing to have in this article. Because the last study we had before that, when you got into the data, was that if you get vaccinated, your kid's more or less gone. So just explain to us what's different. Maybe you made them better.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe tell us how.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
CTV, get
devil's
ready
advocate.
for several years of killer heat. Top weather forecasters warn. Get ready for several years of even more record-breaking heat that pushes Earth to more deadly, fiery, and uncomfortable extremes. Two of the world's top weather agencies forecast it's going to get hot, folks, and it's going to get bad.
Yeah, the World Meteorological Organization and the UK Meteorological Office, who basically all exist on government funding. And there seems to be a lot of money in pushing things that make people scared from the government lately.
No, not at all. To CTV, a fungus that can eat you from the inside out could spread as the world heats up.
Oh,
Man.
no.
Oh no.
Man,
Infection
it's just
causing fungi responsible for millions of deaths a year will spread significantly through new regions as the planet heats up, new research predicts, and the world is not prepared. A team of scientists from Manchester University used a computer simulation and forecast to map potential future spread of aspergillus, a common group of fungi found all over the world that can cause aspergillosis, a life-threatening disease primarily affecting the lungs, and it's brought to new attention thanks to the popular HBO TV series The Last of Us.
yes. So they're tying it into a zombie outbreak. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
but I
then
mean,
if it
definitely be scared, everybody.
and
Be
if that wasn't scary enough, City News Toronto, a new variant of COVID-19 may be driving up cases in some parts of the world. The WHO says COVID-19's back, folks.
Oh, you'd think if how many more times does it have to mutate and evolve before we start calling it COVID-20?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean,
COVID X.
like everybody's kind of stopped caring about this. Maybe it's time for the Chinese to make a new one.
CTV students and young people in Ottawa struggling to land summer jobs. A recent study by job site Indeed shows summer job postings are down 22% from this time last year, and typical summer jobs like camp counselors, lifeguards, and temporary manual laborers like painters are also down. The problem right now that we're experiencing is that a lot of the baby boomers that are or should be retiring are not retiring right now because the cost of living is skyrocketing.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting that, despite all of this stuff and all these complaints that we just have about the media and how they're trying to scare us and mislead us, we finally get some sort of a completely unbiased, just neutral article. And just to demonstrate how unbiased it is, okay, we're talking about how students can't get summer jobs. And it's going to cover all aspects you would expect of the reasons why you would expect them to not be able to get summer jobs. Now, if we look up, I'm just going to type in IMMI. 0 results in this holistic approach to why students can't find summer jobs. And if I just start looking for words that start with IMMI, no results pop up in this article. That is so weird, Sean. I'm baffled.
Book ban? I'm curious if you got
Yeah.
a headline for me, or am I just rolling? Super scary far-right political party takes extreme measures to ban teaching kindergarten boys how to give each other fellatio.
Is that what's happening?
That's actually pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Alberta is bringing in new rules this fall to ensure only age-appropriate books are available in school libraries. Education Minister Dimitrios Nicolaitis said Monday that the move was spurred by 4 coming-of-age graphic novels, most of which depict sexual, 2SL, GBTQ plus content found in circulation. Where is this? They're missing some letters in there. In circulation in Edmonton and Calgary public schools. Quoted, these materials contain nudity and graphic explicit depictions of sexual acts and images, including oral sex. Adding that there was also concern about depictions of molestation, self-harm, drug and alcohol use, and derogatory language. Nicolaitis said the government is developing new standards for school officials to determine the appropriateness of library materials. He said the province plans to have the new rules in place for the next school year. Quote, I wanted to be clear right from the onset, this is not a question of banning specific books or specific titles, but rather establishing clear policy and guidelines for all school divisions to follow.
Yes. The Alberta Teachers Association, their association president, Jason Schilling, who's definitely not shilling for anybody. He gets so close. Every once in a while you see this where they almost get it and then for some reason they don't quite manage. They'll have two pieces of the puzzle sitting right next to each other on the table, but they don't realize that they come together. He's talking about how it's just singling things out. He says, it seems like there's no coincidence that the Alberta government's announcement on library materials specifically singled out 2SLBGTQIA plus materials. They literally just took all of the books that have little boys putting their dicks in the mouths of other little boys off the shelf. That's the new rule they made. That if a small child is putting his penis in the mouth of another small child and it is literally drawn in one of these books, they're going to take it off the shelf. And this guy says, well, don't you think it's a problem that it's only targeting the 2SLGBTQIA plus books? Maybe it is a problem that when you take all of the ones with children filleting each other off of the shelf, the only place that shows up is in this material. Maybe there's something to that. Why don't you pull that thread and see what you come up with?
Here's the Globe and Mail. When we remove books from schools or libraries, we prune the landscapes of children's imaginations. One of the few universal experience of parenting is that we are always scanning the landscape, looking for dangers. But book bans or restrictions or removals based on the idea that a book could be a danger to a child, not only ludicrous, they're also bad for children and bad for society. Books aren't a danger. They're a beautiful opportunity to populate our children's imaginative landscapes in ways that we will educate them, inspire them, and prepare them to both do right and do well. Proponents of book banning would have you believe there are some topics children are simply too young for. Racism, colonialization, and 2SLGBTQ plus kids and families are high on every list. You hear them say they want to protect their children's innocence.
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and say that the only people interested in explaining to a child that it's possible to put a penis in their mouth are people interested in putting a penis in a child's mouth. I don't think that's in no way controversial. And for the record, this isn't a book ban. You can still find these things on the internet or buy them in places and show them to your toddlers. There is nothing stopping you from taking the initiative to explaining to your child exactly how to fellate. If you feel that it's necessary for a 5-year-old to understand the dynamics, you could explain it to them. You can show them the pictures. You can do all of that stuff. It's just saying that we probably don't need this in schools.
Glenn coming in from the West Coast. If you can't post it on Facebook without getting suspended or banned, you probably shouldn't have it in a school library.
See, but then in this context, it's correct. But if you want to say something controversial on Facebook, like what if people who earned their money got to keep it? Well, that would get you banned. But I would be okay with that being in school library. So maybe I'm a hypocrite.
Teachers, twos. Am I doing headlines today? I'm
okay.
waiting on.
All right. Okay. No. Well, here we go.
Strike looms for part-time public sector employees. Alberta teachers vote 99% in favor of strike authorization. Alberta teachers have voted overwhelming in favor of a strike authorization, according to the Alberta Teachers Association. With a 99% vote in favor, the association says teachers in the province have shown the UCP government they can no longer hold up our crumbling public education system. Teachers are standing united in demanding respect and recognition for the challenges they experience in today's classrooms, says Jason Schilling in a statement. Settling for anything less than tangible solutions will not be tolerated. They cite crowded classrooms and a lack of wage increases are the main points of contention among teachers in the province. The rejected deal included general wage increases, adjustments already accepted by other unions and members, and more than $400 million in classroom improvements, which would have started this fall, reads a statement from the Ministry of Treasury, Board, and Finance.
Jason Schilling, the same guy we literally just talked about in the last article. Now he's saying that things are untenable in the classrooms and we're going to go on strike. And if we go on strike, if the teachers aren't there because they're on strike, Who's going to teach your children how to put penises in their mouths? Is that what you want? Because we need more money. And until we get more money, no one is going to be there to show them cartoon pictures of boys and other boys and penises and mouths. That's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen until our demands are met. Nobody is going to be showing your kids dicks. I think
I'm married to a teacher. All you teachers out there,
I can't believe
you're
you
lovely.
said part-time public sector employees. I can't believe you said that. Your wife is going to be so mad.
To my wife and all teachers, you're fantastic. There's just, there's some things going on. They're absolute absurd. So, and anytime you have the head of a union, Two's outlined it perfectly. In one story, we're talking about him defending that, and then it's like, pick your lane, big fella.
Yep.
See where you're going to go.
Yes.
Speaking of strikes.
Okay.
Speaking of strikes. These are my favorite headlines, folks. Stardate 847-37222. The universe can no longer expand. Its finite amount of energy has dissipated. Our colonies in Alpha Centauri have winked out of existence, and still the Postal Union has demands. All right. Canada Post says it has made its final offer to the union representing its workers in a bid to end the ban on overtime work and prevent a larger strike. The Crown Corporation says its latest offer to the Canadian Union of Postal Workers on Wednesday is an enhanced offer from the one it made last week, despite its latest financial report showing mounting financial challenges. Canada Post says it has made its final offers to the union representing its workers in a bid to end the overtime ban. The Crown Corporation says its latest offer to the Canadian... Oh, man. Okay, I got to scroll down here. The Crown Corporation posted a nearly $1.3 billion. We brought this up last week. The Crown Corporation posted a nearly $1.3 billion operating loss for 2024. The report said, while revenues fell by $800 million or 12.2% compared to 2023. The report said its last year's month national strike was part of the same contract negotiation, contributed a net negative impact of $208 million toward the company's $841 million loss before tax. So the last strike hurt them by $208 million. I believe I read that correct. Yes, Twos?
Yes. And so, that's a big hit, but they lost $1.3 billion last year. So, at some point, it's this whole blood from a stone thing, but it's just a damn shame because the only way to save this right now is for the taxpayers to start giving them over $1 billion a year. And I don't know, is that too much of a price to pay? This is a part of our heritage. This is part of what it means to be Canadian. You're 5 years old, you're learning to read, you get the Chickadee magazine subscription tab thing out, and it says free postage if mailed in the United States, but you're not. So then you have to go to the post office at 11 o'clock in the morning, but it's closed because they're on break. And so you go down to the Chinese food restaurant and you round up the postmaster and you say, look, I understand that your union mandated break ended 30 minutes ago, Doris, but I need to buy a stamp. And this is we all grew up doing this. This is part of it. And so she grudgingly, despite the fact that she's about to go on her next break, she goes back to the post office and opens up again. And then you take all the mail out of your box that was for other people and you give them back to her and you get that stamp. And then 6 months later, your subscription to Chickadee starts. And of the monthly issues that you get, 9 of them never arrive. And the 3 that show up are all at least 2 months late. And this is the same thing. This is, like I said, it's part of our heritage. We need to have this for our children, for our children's children. If they don't have a completely unrealistic and entitled Canada Post to get absolutely nothing done with, what does it even mean to be part of this country anymore, Sean? And all they're asking for is $1 billion a year to start off with for every year going forward. I don't think that's too much to ask to get absolutely fuck all accomplished.
In negotiations, you always want to be in a position of like leverage, right? Mm-hmm. Like we offer an essential service. Well,
Yep.
Postal Service, I would argue, is is a very, like, it's going further and further closer to obsolete, but at a time it was an essential service, right? To try and get communication between different parts of the country and elsewhere. But when you start posting billion-dollar losses, your leverage is not there. And if I go back to the teachers for a second, when it's like our teachers wonderful, like I look at, yeah, but your head of the union that operates is condoning things that parents don't want. So you lose the support of the public because they read that, they go, what? It's the same guy. What? And so you want to be in negotiations with leverage.
Yep.
And teachers certainly have some leverage on a province, but the postal thing, when you look at you're like, as a taxpayer, you're like, what is going on? Like there's something not right there, and you're asking for more, and you want the taxpayer to just keep forking over billions of dollars.
Well, I mean, here's the thing: is if I was in charge of Canada Post, if I was the CEO of Canada Post, I'd get that crazy list of demands that we covered last week or the week before from the union, and I would look at it and I would say, "Here's my counter offer. We're losing $1.3 billion a year. I've taken an 80% pay cut. Everybody else at this table has taken an 80% pay cut. On average, 2 letters get delivered to mailboxes in Canada every week. So we are going to fire roughly 94% of the people who work here, and we're going to restructure. What would you like to present as a counteroffer to that?" Like, because they're like, oh, we want more time to wash our hands before breaks. We want this. We want that. We want better benefits. We want better pensions.
Yeah,
And
but
I'd
someone
look at it and say,
I
I'd look at it and say, look, if we're going to run this like a business that's going to stay open, probably 90% of you are not going to be working here anymore.
Some of the negotiations, though, is asking for just absurd things, so they can knock those off, right? Like, I mean, when you buy a house, well, it depends on the market, I guess. But when I go back to when I bought a house, I don't give them what I want to negotiate. So, you can certainly walk in and give them everything they want. If you're the Postal Service, you are going to ask for some absurd things, right? That's going to try and draw into actually what you want. The problem is the leverage in this one is when you're posting billion-dollar losses, and the last strike hurt you $200 million. It ain't 10 million. I know $1 billion is a lot, but 200 million, that's a lot too, that they lost off the last strike. It should show you, like, this is not good. Like, this is not good. And I don't know. Maybe the Liberal government gives them confidence that they can find a way to grab a whole bunch of new things and more funding and everything else. It's wild to watch this continue on.
But neither party is in a position of strength. But the post office has the ability to negotiate from a position of practicality. You say, look, you guys can, how many hand washing breaks do you guys want? Okay, 7 per. You know what? I'll make it 10. You'll get 20. In fact, you can have unlimited hand washing breaks because you don't fucking work here anymore. Who wants to negotiate next?
So you're saying government hire twos to go negotiate this, and he'll have it settled within about 12 minutes. That's
well, because you just go to them and they're like, oh yeah, we want all this fancy shit. And you'd be like, look, you see these cupboards behind me? They're empty. Ask for whatever you want. But there's nothing more to give you. Most of you are already going to be losing your jobs. So if you want to have an adult conversation, pick up the phone. And in the meantime, either work or don't, because all we do is fucking bleed money anyways. Click.
Pickering stabbing. So we're going to go through some rapid fire here. Mayor shocked by so much hate after 13-year-old boy is arrested in Durham homicide. A 13-year-old boy arrested Thursday evening after an unprovoked attack left a woman dead in Pickering, spurring a massive manhunt and a request by Durham Regional Police for area residents to shelter in place. Around 3 p.m. at Lynn Heights Drive, the victim was found in front of her home when a male approached and stabbed her repeatedly. Police said a passerby found her and she was taken to hospital where she was later pronounced dead. Or she was pronounced dead, sorry, not later.
Yeah, at this point, it is unknown if there was a relationship between the two people. I mean, aside from the fact that I feel like that's kind of a bonding moment on some level. The mayor, Kevin Ash. I am shocked that a person so young has so much hate in them. He said that the young man was affected by the burden of mental health, adding that the arrest was very troubling because of the impact it will have on his life. Do you know who else's life that had a big impact on?
The dead woman.
The woman whose life no longer fucking exists because of it.
Yeah. Blacklock's private Senate bill S222 to give a 16-year-old or to give 16-year-olds the vote. To give 16-year-olds the vote is back in Parliament. Democracy is better for including 16 and 17-year-olds in the voting process.
No, it isn't. 16 and 17-year-olds are idiots. I know this because I used to be one. I know some of them. They're all retarded. The last thing we want to have is 16 and 17-year-olds voting. I shouldn't even be old enough to vote. There should be such a stringent process for determining who can vote. Okay, do you work for the government? No, you can't vote. Okay, do you do like whatever? You name it. Make it so that the entire government is decided by like 8 people. That's how our voting system should be.
I don't disagree on the age requirements. I mean, it's just I don't think going younger is a smart idea. I think that's a very poor idea. I agree with Tu's assessment. I was a moron at a very young age. Probably
I'm a moron today.
True words have not been spoken on this show. Elon Musk is leaving the Trump administration after leading efforts to slash the federal budget. Elon Musk's efforts to overhaul the federal bureaucracy. I mean, his departure announced Wednesday evening marks the end of a turbulent chapter that included thousands of layoffs, the evisceration of government agencies, and reams of litigation. Despite the upheaval, the billionaire entrepreneur struggled in the unfamiliar environment of Washington, and he accomplished far less than he'd hoped. He dramatically reduced his target for cutting spending from $2 trillion to $1 trillion to $150 billion, increasingly expressed frustration about a resistance to his goals. Sometimes he clashed with other top members of Trump's administration who chafed at the newcomers' efforts to reshape their departments, and he faced fierce political blowback for his efforts.
All true. But it doesn't actually anywhere in this article talk about all of the good things he did, which was cutting down on stupid government spending, idiotic processes, completely unaccountable accounting, which is kind of a funny thing to say out loud. Here, the classic "you do not hate the media enough" situation. Musk leaving Trump administration after criticizing Big Beautiful Bill. Now, for those of you who don't understand, Elon Musk coming in with Doge was a term position. It was fixed. Like from the start of it, I think it was 6 months. It was, you're going to come in, and in exactly 6 months, you're going to leave. So it was already predetermined. The fact that it happened after he criticized the Big Beautiful Bill is completely irrelevant. I mean, you may as well say Musk leaving Trump administration after the Carpathians sacked Rome. Technically, is it true? Yes. Does it have anything at all to do with the fact that Musk is leaving the Trump administration? No.
Ontario MPPs, what just warms my heart is when government officials give themselves raises. That's what warms my heart. Ontario MPP set for 35% pay increase, ending a 16-year salary freeze. Previously, an Ontario MPP earned $116,000 per year. And in order to bring them up to 75% of federal MPs, $209,000, they will now earn $157,000, and cabinet ministers will take home $223,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a damn shame. Could you imagine going over a decade with your wages remaining stagnant? I wonder what that would be like. I wonder, could you imagine living in a country where everybody's wages just remain the same over an entire decade plus? Huh, that's so crazy. If only there was some magical way that we could just flip a button and we all get 35% raises. I get the fact that your wages haven't moved in a long time. Fair enough. But neither have ours, motherfuckers. And I feel as though, and I don't think this is out of line, wage increases for members of parliament and the legislative assembly and all that stuff should be determined by public vote. You put it on a ballot. You could even put a range. You say, do we want to give like anywhere from, do we want to give them a 100% raise? And then you could have a bunch all the way down to no raise at all. And then all the way down to like a 90% wage reduction.
They'll never do that.
No, they won't. No, because why would they when they could just vote for themselves every time they want a fucking raise? Does anybody see anything wrong with this particular setup in government? The people who get paid by the taxpayers also get to decide when they get raises and how much those raises are. Weird.
Conservatives have flipped another riding, this time in Newfoundland. Conservative Jonathan Rowe is the next MP for Terra Nova, the peninsula, after a judicial recount confirmed Conservatives won by 12 votes. Mark Carney is now at 169 seats.
Yes. So after all of that, after everybody getting mad because all of these recounts were not giving the Liberals new seats. Oh, there's a recount. Oh, and the Liberals won. Oh, and then the Liberals won. Oh, and then the Liberals won. They're like, they're catching on. I think they're seeing through us. I think they can tell what we're doing. Okay, well, we'll just throw them off real quick. We'll give them one back.
New Prime Minister, days after the federal election, Prime Minister Mark Carney stepped into the National Press Theatre and did something Canadians hadn't seen in nearly 10 years, twos. And that is, he started a press conference virtually on time. Not on time, virtually on time.
Yeah.
What a novel idea.
Inside Mark Carney's PMO, where ministers get called out, punctuality matters and patience is on short supply. He started a press conference nearly on time. He's expecting people to use proper English in emails, and he expects them to dress properly. Show up on time, do your job, and do it with a level of a modicum of professionalism. And this is such a huge cultural shift in this country that it was worth writing an article about.
Yes.
Public servants are expected to not be fucking late and are no longer allowed to wear Crocs. And this is newsworthy in Canada.
I mean, it's a nice change. Give Carney his due. I can't believe I'm giving Carney anything at this point, but hey.
But I mean how low has the bar been for the last decades?
That's right.
He says, ladies and gentlemen, I'm in charge now. We're going to be making some changes around here. No more pajama pants.
A new poll suggests more
Tell
than
me
half
I'm wrong.
You're not wrong. It's just that's what the last 10 years has been, right? I mean, even the media will be like, Trudeau, we're starting at 6-ish, maybe 7. Yep. Like, we don't know. And so it's just like then they got to juggle because they never know when you're like, one of the things they pick up immediately, and you're right, it's newsworthy, is it started virtually on time. Holy crap, folks. It started nearly virtually on time. And would you know he's got a dress code and you're supposed to comb your hair and put your pants on. That's a shocker. It's like,
well, I mean, it's like if you're running a meeting and you say it starts at 3 p.m., that meeting starts at 3 p.m. regardless of who's there or who's not there. And that's it. And maybe the first couple times there'll be something awkward because somebody is 10 minutes late and they had something they needed to address at the start. You'd be like, look, your time to address this was at 3:05. You weren't here. We moved past it. I'm sorry. Please show up on time next time. And then every other meeting after that, everybody's there at 3 o'clock. That's it. That's how it goes. You set the tone and everybody follows it.
Yes. A new poll suggests more than half of Canadians say they understand why Alberta might want to split from Canada, even if almost 2/3 say they don't want it to happen. This is a Ledger survey which polled 1,500 plus Canadians between May 16th and 18th, suggests that 55% of Canadians understand Alberta's desire for independence.
Yeah. So if you've got all of these people across Canada saying, Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, I hope they don't do it, but I get why they're mad. Maybe we're not crazy. Maybe we're not extremists. Maybe we're not a fringe minority. Maybe we're just some regular ass people who are tired of being treated like shit.
Fraser Institute. Switzerland has nearly 65% more doctors and a much shorter wait time than Canada, despite spending being roughly the same amount on healthcare. Canada's healthcare system is increasingly unable to meet patient needs, with wait times reaching record lengths over 30 weeks for planned care in 2024, despite significant rising public spending and growing dissatisfaction among patients and providers nationwide. Swiss healthcare outperforms Canada in nearly all performance indicators: more doctors and nurses per capita, better access to care, shorter wait times, lower unmet needs, and higher patient satisfaction. 94% versus Canada's 56%. And 56% at this point, I feel like, is probably giving Canada a little bit more than where people are at. But there you go.
Well, how many people just don't bother going to the doctor because they're like, what's the point?
Yeah.
So I can spend another 8 years on a wait list?
So here's how much is spent: 11.5% of the economy in Canada, 11.9 in Switzerland, so slightly more. How much is paid for by the government funding? Canada 100%, 32% in Switzerland. And you just go down and down and down, and look at it just yeah.
Well, it's funny because if you say anything at all is wrong with the healthcare system, like anything at all, you just say, you know what? I wish that they would change the paint color on that door. And then someone will jump in and say, oh, you just want to bring in the American system. Guess what? There's like 200 other countries that have different systems, and they're all better than ours. So why don't we look at some of this? What is wrong with saying, well, you know what? Maybe we could try a little bit of this. What if we, in the words of Tim Moen, legalized healthcare?
While the king was still in Senate in Ottawa, Quebec voted unanimously to abolish the link between the state of Quebec and the British monarchy, and to release the vote results to the king and PM of Canada.
Yeah, how beautiful is that? So, I mean, I see what Quebec's doing, and most of the time, I think they're a bunch of assholes. And then
but you got a ton of time for Quebec this week, don't you?
They do something like this in fucking Quebec. And I'm like, why can't we do something like that? Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't it be neat if all the provinces did something exactly like this, and the only place in the country left giving a rat's ass about the British monarchy was Ottawa?
800 jobs to be cut at the passport office across Canada. Approximately 800 jobs are being eliminated at the passport office by the end of June, as Service Canada reduces its workforce in anticipation of a decrease in passport applications. As a cost recovery program, Service Canada's workforce levels for the passport program is being aligned as of the end of June 2025 to a decreased volume of passport applications now being forecasted by IRCC for 2025-2026.
And that's not even all of it. Canada Revenue Agency is cutting up to 280 jobs, and there's another like 900 jobs scattered around the federal government. This is going to be the first time that there have been any job cuts in the federal government since before Trudeau took over. And I just want to point out how beautiful and hilarious this is, that their unions said, don't vote for Poilievre. He's going to cut 17,000 jobs. That 17,000 job cut myth that we heard so many times from places like PSAC, which, I mean, they're all a bunch of PSACs, but like, he's going to cut 17,000 jobs. And you have to understand that that would be political suicide for Poilievre. And what he was going to do was, just as people left, which, I mean, it's a cushy government job, so it's either retirement or death. But as people left, he wouldn't replace all of them. And that's how he was going to cut down on the size of the public sector. Was just, when somebody leaves, we won't necessarily hire for that position again. And they're like, oh, he's going to cut 17,000 jobs. Vote for Mark Carney instead, because Polyev is crazy extremist and he's going to cut all these jobs, even though he was never going to. And now Mark Carney just doesn't say a damn word about it. And then the ink's barely even dry on the last round of ballots that they brought into Newfoundland. And here he is cutting 2,000 jobs. So congratulations, you played yourself. This is just poetic. It's beautiful. It's hilarious.
Let's get on to some goofy news. Edmonton to have Pride Parade for the first time since 2018.
Yeah, and I mean it's great. It's wonderful. I see you're wearing your Pride stuff today, so I get it. It's a big deal. Everybody's happy about it. Yeah, we've actually got some live coverage of it and what it looks like. Here it is. I'm gonna maybe I'll give it a bit of volume. All right, for those of you, this is a whole bunch of trucks, people wearing gay pride stuff with all their gay pride flags and things like that. Rogers Place, I think that's Rogers Place, isn't it?
That's Rogers Place. Yep.
Yeah. So gay pride all around, and it's gonna be a big deal. Can you cut that for a sec? So congratulations to Edmonton for bringing back the Gay Pride Parade. They actually said that if they get a really good showing from the trans community at this parade, they may be able to have more lost packages than Canada Post.
BC minimum wage increases to $17.85.
You know what the real minimum wage is? Zero. Make it harder for people to get entry-level jobs. I mean, we just talked about how students can't find summer jobs. You know what makes it harder for them to find summer jobs, aside from unchecked immigration, is an unnecessarily high minimum wage. Because what if that kid says, oh, hey, I want a job. And the guy says, yeah, it only makes sense for me to pay you like $8-10 an hour. And he says, okay, well, I'd love to do that. And then the guy says, okay, well, that's cool. But the problem is the government won't let us. We got them out of the bedrooms, and then they went directly into our wallets. So I can't hire you because they bumped up the minimum wage.
Well, you see what's happening, right? Not that I go to McDonald's, but if you go into a McDonald's these days, how many screens are there to order from?
Yeah. Every one of those screens used to be a minimum wage job.
That's right. Or go into once again, I don't go here often, but Walmart. How many kiosks or whatever we're calling them, checkout lanes are there? Now everything's self-checkout. Why is that? Because they probably sat there and crunched the numbers and went, it's way more financially viable to have people check themselves out.
Yep.
And so you can keep raising the minimum wage, and businesses
businesses have to still exist, right? And so it's funny. The only thing missing from this article about the BC minimum wage is whether there is a conversion to crack cocaine or fentanyl.
You kept asking about Sydney Sweeney's bathwater after we released our commercial, so we kept it introducing Sydney Sweeney's Bathwater Bliss, a very real limited edition soap made with Sydney's actual bathwater.
Yes, Sydney Sweeney, the girl from Madam Web with the giant honkers.
Yes.
They made a bathwater out of her soap. And so there's all these.
Well, they made soap out of her bathwater.
Pardon me. They made soap out of her bathwater. And now everybody's just like, oh, are you going to wash my mouth out with soap? And the comments, the pictures, all of these posts and replies are hilarious. Sean, do you know how they actually got the bathwater from Sydney Sweeney's house to the factory to build this? 2 very large jugs.
If that doesn't make you laugh today, folks, you're not having enough fun. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
All right. All right.
Here's the next one. Wife has tested positive again after being negative for the last 5 days. What the heck is happening? This is somebody taking a COVID-19 PCR test on May 29th, 2025, and their wife has tested positive. And I mean, I'm sure you're up to date on all the latest articles from CTV about the spores and the World Health Organization advisories, and it's great that you're just still taking this seriously, and it's just a damn shame that everybody else is being a jackass and doing things like getting on with their lives. And I hope that your wife recovers very quickly from the small bout of sniffles that she will undoubtedly have.
Here's our favorite on the show, Jason Kenney, former Premier of Alberta, Jason Kenney, honored to attend the King's speech in the Senate chamber today and to reconnect with many friends like the amazing Senator Yona Martin. This was a truly historic moment. For the first time, a sovereign has opened up Canada's parliament since 1957. As His Majesty said, the crown has for so long been a symbol of unity for Canada. It also represents stability and continuing. Holy man!
Continuity.
Thank you. From the past to the present, as it should. It stands proudly as a symbol. I just choke on my words when I'm reading Jason Kenney. Can you give me a break, folks? It stands proudly as a symbol of Canada Day, as in all our.
I didn't realize you were capable of choking on anything.
God save the King. Viva la Canada.
Yeah. Just look at that fucking smarmy douchebag. Just look at this. Here is, I got to take you out first. Here we go. Yep. Look at this. I asked Grok about these medals. These are basically parliamentary participation medals. So
he's wearing participation ribbons.
Yeah. So they're just commemorating. They're just commemorating, like each one of those. One of them, like 57,000 of them got given out. One of them, 76,000 of them got given out to public servants. When the Queen had her Diamond Jubilee and her Gold Jubilee and whatever else, right? Like that's all this is. It's just they gave out a bajillion of those medals to people who happen to be in the public sector at the time when the Queen hit a milestone in her tenure as ruler of a different country. That's what he got all those medals for, and he's wearing them, and he looks like a total fucking jackass.
We should send him a button. Says Premier ousted by Alberta, or I'm sure you could come up with something more clever.
like if we got a medal for him to commemorate the time that we kicked him out on his ass for being a piece of shit.
I don't know if you know this. I'm a lunatic conspiracy theorist or something along that lines, which, by association to is you're right there with me.
Imagine looking at the two of us and saying you're the crazy conspiracy theorist.
Secretary Marco Rubio, for too long.
Wait. Here it is. Give him a tits up medal. I think that's about perfect.
Did I mention we have the best audience? We have the best audience.
We do.
For too long, Americans have been fined, harassed, and even charged by foreign authorities for exercising their free speech rights. This is Secretary Marco Rubio. Today, I'm announcing a new visa restriction policy that will apply to foreign officials and persons who are complicit in censoring Americans. Free speech is essential to the American way of life, a birthright over which foreign governments have no authority.
Isn't that great? I think that could have almost been the happy news. So basically, if you're trying to fuck around on any American citizen's freedom of speech in any country and you want to apply to get a visa to the States, they're going to look and say, yeah, you're not a culture fit. Now, here's just a random video of some guys using a rototiller in Africa somewhere. And then this guy says,
No, show the video first. Well, I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Well, whatever. They're just mucking around with a rototiller, right?
Yes.
There's nothing too crazy about that. Guy's probably not very familiar with it, but aside from that, it's nothing much. And so this guy goes, it's metal, so it does more harm to the soil than it helps. That's why the farmers were banned from using copper plows. Now, copper, you may or may not know this, is metal. I found this to be absolutely just mind-boggling. He says that has to do with the microbiological effects of magnetisms with Schumann resonance and atmospheric pressure. Long story short, farmers were growing so many plants that the United States government stepped in and had farmers switch from copper plows to harmful metals. Copper is a metal, but all right. This changed microbial behavior, and typically a soil-based tilled with traditional tools takes about 2 years to get back to their original behavior. Now add the aluminum and barium they're spraying on the soil. It's all way out of whack. Quick Dick McDick is spraying aluminum on the soil. This is crazy. This is just like, this guy knows, obviously he knows more about the sub-keto interference of the planet Xenon and how it's affecting the radons and quarks in wheat, barley, all of it. Like this just, these are people that are allowed free speech. And I'm not against them having free speech. This is one of the stupidest, craziest people I've ever heard in my life. The reason why plows aren't made out of copper is because it's soft and brittle, like your logic here in this. They're made out of steel, which comes from the ground, by the way, and not copper, which, by the way, to correct you, is actually a metal, believe it or not, because it's stronger and more durable, and it lasts longer, and it can bend a little bit rather than just cracking. That's why things are made out of steel.
Colorado man hit in the eye by a foul ball sues Rockies, in part blaming team's poor performance.
Yes.
Timothy
Go ahead.
Timothy Rockall suffered a catastrophic and permanent injuries when he was hit in the face and right eye by a foul ball during the Rockies' July 16th, 2023 game against the New York Yankees. Attorneys for Denver firm Nielsen Weiss wrote in the lawsuit filed Monday in Denver District Court. He was a guest of a box owner and did not pay for his ticket. Quoted, defendant's long-standing poor performance on the field contributed to a game environment in which spectators, particularly those in luxury suites, are less engaged with the action on the field.
Yeah. So basically his defense is, if the team didn't suck so much, I might have actually been watching the game and would have seen it coming and it wouldn't have hit me in the eyeball. This is the kind of thing you'd expect to see in Edmonton.
Or maybe better Calgary. Yeah, I mean,
you can't just take what I said and then just change the team on it and be like, somehow that's a different burn.
Is it like, is there any, do you think, is there any way he wins this lawsuit, dudes? It is the United States. You know, it's
well,
like,
that's the thing. I don't know. You got to ask Jeff Rath or Leighton Gray or somebody like that. And then maybe also ask them what habeas corpus means, because I've always wondered. Get Eva Chipiuk on here and ask her if this guy has a legal leg.
You know what we should do is
do a panel.
When we're doing the goofy news, we should pick out, you know, we haven't had, we had a guest on last week, but you know, coming through the federal election and everything, we've been doing more just one-on-one mashups. We should pick a bizarre headline and bring on a lawyer for it. We should have picked, we'll do that for when we see something like this. We're like, is there any way this possibly wins?
But like, what if we had a panel?
Sure. Just to have a little bit of fun.
We just have like 3 lawyers on there discussing the merits of whether it's a decent legal argument that your team sucks so much that it's expected that you're not going to be paying attention, in which case the onus is on the stadium to provide safeguards to ensure that people aren't being hit by balls they're no longer watching.
Yeah, well, you got to have a laugh here and there, folks. Footage goes viral of a bus driver playing games on his phone during a route from Edmonton to Calgary with a Canada bus. Show this video, too. This is, I mean, you don't need any sound. Just watch the bus driver as he's going.
He's driving, and then he's taking his hands off the wheel to push stuff on his phone. And he's just driving, looking up every once in a while. And yeah, it's always the ones you least expect. Hey,
And instead of just being like, "Hey, sir, could you please get off your phone?" They film it. I was waiting for the person filming to be like, "Hey, like we're in the middle of traffic. Could you just get off your phone?" No, they just sit there and film them. I'm like, yeah, until you're in a head-on crash or whatever, and you're dead. But there'll at least be film of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like he's traveling quickly at that point.
You want to show the video of Carney shrugging off Melanie Jolie?
Yes, actually, I think this is the first time I've ever actually wanted to show a video of the Liberals. So I just, we're talking about how we've moved towards professionalism and getting away from being vapid idiots in Parliament. And I get the fact that I don't like Mark Carney and nobody here does, but little credit where it's due. And then look at him, he's in the middle of something. And then Mark Garrettson pulls up, and then Melanie Jolie tries to come over, and then Carney waves her away, and then gives her another wave away when she doesn't immediately go. He just shoo, be gone. And the other thing about this, by the way, is just the entitlement of this person. They're so used to being so far aloof from everybody else that the other people they work with can just be addressed with a vague hand wave. This is the guy that they got to resonate with everyday voters.
I don't know. I like seeing the Liberals getting swatted away. Shoot, please.
Even if it's by themselves.
That's right.
Okay, now here's another one. This is Charles the Adder.
Yes, award-winning cartoonist for the Globe and Mail. Although we're an award-winning podcast too, so it's one winner talking about another.
We're still at the podcast. He's no longer at the Globe and Mail. He won awards at the Globe and Mail, but he's not there anymore, if I'm not mistaken, unless he got rehired. And so here's a bunch of babies crying in a bathtub, and on the outside of the bathtub is written "Separatists." And the thing about it is that this is kind of a classic Charles the Adder thing, where there's nothing personal or connective. And people are like, oh, this is hilarious, blah, blah, blah. But you could literally take this out. You could take out the word separatists, and you could write in any word. You could be like liberals and have that exact same thing, and it would be just as relevant. You could have Oilers. You could definitely have Leafs. You could literally just put any word on there other than separatist, and it would be every bit as valid and every bit as funny as it currently is. And that's lazy and stupid, and this is why this guy got let go from whatever place he was at before. Maybe it was the Globe that he came to now, and he was at some Halifax thing before. But it's just lazy, it's stupid, and it speaks to the lack of coherent arguments against separation, when the best they can do is a boilerplate bathtub.
Yeah. Interim NDP leader. The NDP is not a serious party, folks. Legit now. Interim NDP leader pushing for resources. Yeah, the NDP are not a serious party. Truer words probably second time today have now been spoken on the show. Interim NDP leader pushing for resources after losing party status in Parliament. The interim leader of the federal NDP says that while the door may be shut down to the party being granted official status in the House of Commons, he hopes other parties will grant it resources. For instance, we have access to the lobby. We kept our offices. These little privileges, as Davies puts it, are what federal parties now considers a win after a general election where the party was reduced to mere 7 seats, down from its previous 24. Losing official party status means the NDP MPs will be limited in how often they can ask the government Liberals a question in the House of Commons, and will not be automatically reserved a place on parliamentary committees where legislation flows before it passed in the House of Commons.
Yeah, this is their worst electoral outcome ever. All right. And so under the leadership of Jagmeet Singh, they have gone from a party that's not a serious party to not even a real party. And I'm not going to say that this is actually, I am going to say this. I'm going to say this explicitly. This is classic socialist. This is the most NDP thing they could do. There is a certain set of criteria that they don't meet to get a bunch of free shit. and they can't get the free shit because they're not good enough to do it. They can't get the shit because they're not good enough. And so they want an exception made so that they can just get other people's free shit that they did not earn. And it is kind of nice to see a logical consistency, even if it's flawed logic. Like,
Yep.
okay, well, you have to earn this. Okay, well, we didn't earn it. Okay, well, you can't have it, but we want it anyway. Okay, well, that's literally what their party is all about. So that's wonderful.
I didn't even read this. I'm just going to read the headline. What is trans broken arm syndrome and how can it be help stop it? I didn't even read it too.
Article came out. It was just at the end of last week, but I didn't see it, and so I just, usually we only cover stuff that's a week old or newer, and this one is 9 days old. So trans broken arm syndrome is, for those of you who don't know, who was me before I read the article too, so don't feel badly, Sean. It's where they go in for medical procedures that are typically only done for the genders that they now claim to belong to, as opposed to the ones that they are biologically in reality. And so a trans dude, a tranny, will go in there and say, "Hey, doc, I want you to check my ovaries and make sure that I don't have cancer." And the doctor will say, "Well, I'm terribly sorry, Miss Bennett, but you don't have any ovaries." And he'll say, "I'm a girl. Can't you tell I'm a girl?" And the doctor will say, "Yes, sure, whatever. Please don't stab me with that pen. But you don't have any ovaries for me to check. And so there's nothing for me to look at. I'm sorry, I can't check the ovaries that don't exist.
All I can
What do you
say
want
is,
from me?"
the longer you talk, the more happy I am that I didn't read the article.
And so anyway, this is this huge stigma. This is a very sad and large problem in the trans community, is that people without ovaries cannot get their ovaries checked. And
all right.
And it's this stigma, and there needs to be progress made in terms of affirming these people.
Sticking with
And-
the LGBTQ,
Mhm.
Canadian Greens leader Elizabeth May sponsors petition asking the Parliament to declare an LGBTQ genocide in Canada.
Well, I mean, they're not exactly making new ones for themselves, are they?
Can we show something funny? Can we show the video?
No, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. Yeah,
Well, then,
because
fire
here's
away,
the thing,
dude.
Sean. Okay, when two men have sex with each other, they don't make a new baby. That
Yes,
was.
I realize. I
okay,
get. Yes,
all right,
I get.
okay.
Okay.
Now here's the other thing. All right, so Elizabeth May is a very well-known piss tank. She's a fucking drunk, and so I'm thinking maybe there's a little bit of dyslexia. Maybe she was just kind of slurring her words, or maybe the person she was saying this to was dyslexic, and she wasn't saying genocide. She was saying she wants a side of gin.
All right. Show the
Okay,
funny
now
video.
please go.
Yeah, I want you to show the video. I watched part of it, but I'm like, I just want to watch it in real time. He's
Yeah.
back. This guy's hilarious.
As far
I
as
wanna
I'm
get-
concerned,
I
every
want to
time.
get this guy on the show.
All right. Well, I tried looking him up, and I can't find him. He's not on Twitter.
Well, there you go, audience. Try and find this guy for us.
He's on TikTok, and we want to have him on. In the meantime, he did this other video about a $240 pasta carbonara from A1 Michelin star.
$240 pasta. I wouldn't fucking pay it. It's in a little glassing. Carbonara, so egg and flour. Where the fuck is the... Sorry, I accidentally turned the phone off when I got mad. Where the fuck is the rest of it? That's what I was mad about. If I pay $250 for a bit of food, I want to be fucking brought to hospital after it. I want my stomach pumped. I want the doctor to have to come in and tell me, Garen, you can't keep living like this. If I pay over 20 quid for food, it should fucking endanger my life. This doesn't even seem to have any fucking bacon. That's an entry-level health risk. Give me the pasta they cook on the big fucking wheel of cheese, but I expect to be able to eat the wheel of cheese as well. Stop this nonsense and follow me. I'm delicious.
So yeah, anyways, he's back, and I had a great time with it last time too. And so I was like, yeah, we're gonna put this guy in the news again this
I
week.
just want to have him on the show so we can just like I don't know. He's just it's got to be the accent and everything else. But
Well, all of it.
I love how he gets mad and shuts the video off. Damn it! I was so mad. I hit the video. Yeah, well, we've been there, haven't we, folks? Oh man, Toronto. Toronto. No. Show the block video. Show the block video. Forgive me.
Well, it's not the video, but
Oh, sorry, it's the tweet.
Bloc Québécois slam Carney for inviting foreign king to open parliament, opt out of attending throne speech.
Once again, this is twos respecting Quebec. I know we got Quebec viewers, so I think they're as shocked as I am right now. This would be like twos putting on an Oilers jersey. I don't ever foresee that happening.
Okay,
I'm gonna
the
make
thing about it is that these fucking frogs are actually doing some cool things. That's the big difference.
I realize it's just so unlike you. It's just like, are we in an alternative reality right now?
I call it how I see it. I gave Mark Carney props for trying to
Mashup
make people in
160.
Ottawa start acting like adults, and Blanchette, who does get occasional credit here and there, even if he's an entitled bastard, says slams Carney for inviting foreign king to open parliament, opt out of attending throne speech. They say, we don't want a foreign king at our throne speech. We're not going to attend. And that's what happened when King Charles showed up. So I think that's wonderful. I think that's great. Again, I wish we all did that.
Toronto black mandated homeless shelter on the way, City Hall confirms. Toronto officials are taking applications until Friday for City Council's new black mandated shelter, where everyone from employees to homeless could be excluded on the basis of race. A city document says Shelter Services is developing at least one black mandated shelter by 2033. A set of guidelines for prospective applicants for the shelter contract says the intention is to provide opportunities for black mandated nonprofits, also referred to as B3.
What are the other, like, I wonder what the 3 B's in that are. Right? You know, because you got public-private partnerships is a P3. So what are the 3 B's? And by the way, B is the second letter of the alphabet. So B3 is basically 222. Yeah. So anyways, it's only for black people. So imagine you're just this Hispanic dude and you just come up and it's like the middle of winter, 40 below. And you just go like, lo siento, señor. Yo es muy frío. Yo tengo un casa para noche. And they would be like, get out of here. Get out. Get out. You're not black. But this is the government. Do you remember when we covered that the federal government denied funding to the church of the original Underground Railroad because
that's a long time ago? Yes, I do. Yes.
So for those of you who don't remember, the Underground Railroad, the slaves, when they came north to Canada, they formed a church in and around Toronto. And then that applied for this funding grant for black churches. And they were denied because they weren't black enough.
Correct.
The Underground Railroad Church was not black enough to receive funding.
Correct.
And so you're kind of just setting yourself up for Underground Railroad Church 2.0 here. And I'm curious to see exactly how bad this gets, because it could be pretty hilarious at the expense of Filipino homeless people.
Happy news. The Wheel of Time was unceremoniously canceled by Prime Video by way of Friday news dump, mere hours before a 3-day holiday weekend. For ardent fans of the rebellious and expansive genre storytelling, this was utterly tragic news.
Yes. Oh, it was just absolutely horrible. I don't know. Did you ever read the books?
Nope.
Seminal. Phenomenal. Some of the best books ever written. Gets a little long-winded towards the end, but I think there was like 16, 14 of them by the time it was all finished.
All right.
And I mean, one of them was almost 1,000 pages. I think Sword of Chaos was the longest one. And so anyway, Amazon Prime did 3 seasons of this. And they're some of my favorite books of all time. So when I found out they were making a show, I'm like, this is wonderful. I hated the first season. I quit partway through the second season. Do you have to just understand this for a second? You're taking your favorite books, some of your favorite books of all time, and turning them into a TV show. And you quit partway through the second season, not because the show ended, but because they're that bad. That's how bad this was. And so it's funny because this article, it talks about how it was just a victim of the streaming wars. And it took the Wheel of Time also took massive creative risks that maybe wouldn't fly on other paint by numbers fantasy productions. They lifted countless bits of queer subtext and pushed them into the forefront of the adaptation. The Aes Sedai were represented by a diverse cast of actresses of all ages, ethnic backgrounds, and body types. And it just goes into basically how it took very loosely speaking the bones of the Wheel of Time and then made it as woke as possible. And because of that, it was a huge success. No, I would argue that because of that, it was a fucking failure.
Well, obviously it was. They removed it.
One of the main characters, this guy Matt Cawthon, was just this fun guy because he was always getting caught up in shit, and all he wanted to do was drink beer, gamble, and chase girls. And then he always just keeps getting caught up in this like international conflicts, and he's got to save the world. But he's just trying to all he wants to do is just pinch some tavern wench's bottom and play cards. That's all he wants. And then he just keep getting dragged into these things. And they turned him into this morose, sad, lonely, boring, shitty person, despite the fact that he was like he probably was the most fun character out of all of the books.
Well, but I can tell you this.
I watched a guy like that. And so it sucked. And now it's
I maybe watched an episode, maybe two, because I remember the preview for it. And I was like, oh, that looks actually pretty good. And then I watched I don't know if I got through 2 episodes. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And I just carried on with life. Yep. And it's just so happy news.
They killed off a bunch of the other, basically, if it was a good character with a strong story arc, but it didn't fit their archetypes, they killed them off.
Community notes, twos. You got a few things to bring up, I believe.
Do we ever? All right. So go ahead.
No, I was just going to say Prophet River Community Note has a brand new website, and I just pulled it up. So if people are anywhere in Canada wanting to buy firearms, all the things, prophetriver.com, that's where you can go. They just released it, so it's brand new, all updated, and they ship Canada wide. So if you're looking for anything to do with firearms,
you're looking for a long distance hole puncher, this is the place to go.
That's right. What else you got?
Okay, well, we got a couple things from friend of the show, Shane Getson. So June 6th, which is coming up pretty quick. That's next weekend, I think, is golf tournament for the Constituency Association at Cougar Creek Golf Resort. Actually, it's next Friday. It's remember, because we said it's during the mashup, so we can't go, which is a damn shame. But tickets are on sale. You can save a little bit if you book an entire foursome. Apparently it's a really nice course, and it's just outside Edmonton, not terribly far ways. So there's that. And then June 19th, he's having a town hall at the Iron Lady Saloon in Gainford. So those of you who have ever...
It's a cool name.
Yeah. Well, those of you who've ever spent much time going up and down that road, little oil and gas, you probably have stopped in for a few beer there. And so I'm going to be doing a live component of it, just sort of streaming it and getting questions in and stuff like that for him to discuss. I may be doing it in person. I'm not entirely certain yet. It's probably going to be a last minute decision, but I'm going to be helping him out with that. Sean?
We got join us Saturday, June 28th for Airdrie's second annual car meetup, calling all muscle cars, JDM, KDM, Euro, classic cars, supercars, cool rides, and motorcycles too. If you just want to show up, want to show it off, or just want to drool on them, then come on out. No registration required. Everyone welcome, all ages, free barbecue, rain or shine.
I like free barbecue.
Yeah.
And what day is it?
June 28th.
Okay.
So we've got a little bit of time. Saturday, June 28th. So that's coming up.
Okay. We unify. So what the hell is it? September 19th, I think, is the date.
Oh, it's on the here. I'll pull it up. I think it's on
No.
there, isn't it?
I could be, well, here. God damn it. I'm screwing this up here already, hey? Well, here, I'm going to bring up their Twitter.
September 19th to 21st,
Yep.
2025 in Calgary.
At the
The
BMO Center.
fourth annual Reclaiming Conference. We unify.
All
There you
right. And it appears as though you've got Michelle Ferrari, Robert Malone, Stockwell Day, Viva Fry, Bruce Party, Francis Widowson, Jacob Wells, Tony Greco, Lisa Bildy, Paul Allen, Kalea Carrington, Jamie Soleil, Brett Oland, Jennifer Johnson, and Fatine Grisecci.
Sounds about right.
There's going to be a bunch more. I don't know. The finer points are being hashed out, but there's going to be quite a lot of social media influencers and whatnot there.
September 19th, 21st, 221st, I should say.
221st.
Correct.
They're
in
going to
Calgary.
have kind of a trade show exhibition area. I'm guessing a lot of those. So lots of like meet and greets with social media type people. Again, details getting fleshed out, but have it on your radar. And that's it.
That's what we got this week. Folks, Mashup 160 in the books. Thanks for tuning in, for hopping on. We're here every Friday, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And, you know.
What does that say at the bottom there, Sean?
The Edmonton Oilers are heading back to the Stanley Cup.
No.
final.
If you look at the bottom part where it says twos, Sean Newman, and then what does it say next to that?
I don't know.
It says Oilers suck.
Folks, thanks for tuning in. Tues as always. It's been a pleasure.
I'm glad that they've got their parade back, but I would caution Oilers fans that pride cometh before a fall.
Go Oilers.
Are you going to do the outro or what?
Welcome to the Mashup.
Yeah. Right now.
Tell me whether I'm wrong or right. East or west, up or down, side to side. I sit to stand and fall to fly. Of all of my impulsive plans, pop and lock and salsa dances on demand. I follow leading off the map and stop the chatter, scream happily.
Welcome to the Mashup.
Welcome to the mashup. Welcome to the
Welcome to the mashup.